Today we are going to hear words passed down through generations from the book of Exodus. Let us listen to these words of the Spirit. Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. He led his flock beyond the wilderness and came to Mount Horeb, the mountain of God. There, the angel of God, of the Lord, appeared to him in a flame of fire out of a bush. He looked, and the bush was blazing, yet he was not consumed. Then Moses said, "I must turn aside and look at this great sight and see why the bush is not burned up." When the Lord saw that he had turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush, "Moses, Moses!" And he said, "Here I am." Then he said, "Come no closer. Remove the sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground." Hear what the Spirit is saying. Thank you.
Recently, astronaut Reed Wiseman, at a press conference, found himself talking about what it was like to be up in space recently with the Artemis project that just circled around the moon. And as he stood there with the world in front of him, he said into the microphone, "I'm not a religious person. I didn't grow up religious. But from what we saw up there, there is no other way to explain what we saw." Staring down many, many miles from where we all sit right now, astronauts orbited the moon, the dark side of the moon, seeing the Earth in ways only few humans ever have. A sense of awe came over Reed, and no real words could really come over and define what he actually saw. This sermon series that we've entitled called "Everything is Holy" is a dive into understanding what exactly is holy. This has been a sermon series that both Jay and Priscilla have put together. They've studied, they've researched, they've thought, they've had conversations with one another, as well as you, to understand what it means when everything is holy. Because if everything is holy, what's not holy? The passage that Ethan read for us this morning, it is a story that I wonder, but I think some of us have heard before. It's a story of Charlton Heston taking his flock out at night, wandering around the wilderness until after he gets out of the wilderness, he goes to Mount Horeb, this great and wonderful place where people experienced God. And as he takes his flock up there, he finds himself talking to an inanimate object that's on fire but is not consumed at the same time. Think about that for a second. A bush that is completely on fire but is not consumed at the same time. Imagine an azalea bush right now that has flowers on it, but it's on fire, but the flowers are not burning up. It is a magical and amazing thing that has happened here. But why is it happening to Moses? Now, this is the same Moses who was put in a basket years before, sent down the Jordan River before being picked up by Pharaoh, raised by Pharaoh from a child to where he was a little bit older before murdering somebody and running away. This Moses, who had committed a crime and was living out on the margins of society, now found himself on Mount Horeb, talking to an inanimate bush that was on fire, but not at the same time. And the bush says to him, "Take off your shoes, you are standing on holy ground." So he takes off his sandals and begins to talk. I wonder how many times Moses had been out in the wilderness and found himself on Mount Horeb and not noticed that he was standing on holy ground before. I also wonder what it's like to talk to an inanimate object that's on fire. For many of us, we know how the story goes after that. Charlton Heston comes down the mountain. He goes to Pharaoh and he talks to Pharaoh. Plagues come. Pharaoh lets the Israelites go free. He finds himself on top of a hill overlooking the Red Sea. He parts the sea in the greatest special effects scene that has ever been seen on film up until that point. The Israelites cross across the river, and they start to wander for the next 40 years, looking for the promised land, looking for that next holy space. But along the way, Moses doesn't reach that place, this land that was promised to him. Roll credits. When we read the Bible, we find amazing experiences like this happening often, where people have a direct connection with the holy, with the divine, that goes beyond understanding. That can sometimes be frightening. Other times it can wake us up from a nap. Sometimes it's calming. But they come in such different ways that sometimes we are waiting and wondering when that might happen for us. We're looking for that burning bush moment. We're looking for that moment to take off our sandals, our shoes, our boots, our Crocs, and stand on holy ground and know for just a moment that you are in the right place at the right time and God is speaking with you. So when we hear about this astronaut, Reed Wiseman, looking down from the heavens, or I should say, not quite the heavens, looking down on the earth that is there in front of him and being in complete awe, you can only imagine what that means. How small we are compared to everything that's out there. Astronomers recently have started to play around with the idea, and if I go too deep here, hold on, we'll get there together. Astronomers have recently started to play around with the idea that our universe is bigger than we could have ever imagined. So much so that some of them think that we currently live in a black hole, meaning that there is a universe outside of our universe that is further away than we could ever imagine. I mean, some of the closest stars are 11 light years away, and that is something that I don't even understand. But I tell you what, it's longer than sitting through Chatham traffic after school, and that feels like it goes on forever. Creation that we are a part of right now is bigger and smaller than we could ever imagine. And we are not the center of it, but we are a part of it. And we sit in it, and we stand in it, and we know of it. But it doesn't always make sense. But here's what I believe. The more I wonder, the bigger God gets. The more I hope, the bigger God gets. And I think it's in those moments that we stand in front of a burning bush and say, what is going on? Where is God calling me next? It's in those moments of complete awe and wonder that we should stand back and say, wow. Because I hope that there are at least a few young people here who might see what Reed saw one day. In our baptismal liturgy this morning, one of the lines we say is, do you promise to reject the evil powers of this world, to reject the evil powers of this world in whatever ways that they face them, whatever ways that you face them? I think that's where holy things become unholy. Because as I read the scriptures, as I read the text, everything that I see that has been created by God is good, as it says in Genesis, every single day. God created this, and it was good. So I have to believe that everything that has been created by God, everything that is here in front of us, that has been presented to us, has some element of the holy within it, somewhere within its DNA, within its molecules, within its deepest molecules of what it is. God has placed something holy within it. It's not until we take those things and shape them in different ways that they can become unholy. They are not creations of God, but creations of ourselves that are there to pull one another apart. These are creations not of a God that wants us to see wonder within all of creation, but these are creations of our own that push God further and further away. So when we come and remind ourselves of our baptisms, for those of us who have been baptized before, we are called to stand up to those who would try and tear apart the holy within this world. To recognize the holy in this world means that we must strive for peace. And we must resist war and assassinations attempts in all forms. It calls for us to be a peace-filled people that sees the long road as the road that is worth traveling. It's a people who stand in holy places that call us to go to difficult places at the same time, to stand up to pharaohs, to those who would oppress others, and remind them that they are not creating the holy right now, but pulling us apart. It's a reminder that this place that we sit in right now has been called holy for generations right now. But to know that the work is not done. And that if we call this place the only holy place out there, we will not see God in the faces of others. To recognize that everything is holy means that you are standing and sitting and breathing holy air right now. To know that you are called to go out and to share that same message of peace, love, reconciliation, hope, in the darkest of places. It's to raise up children who believe the same things. To know that they too will be faced with monumental challenges in their future. But to take the easy way out and to destroy the holy, only puts us back from being able to live in a more justice-filled, loving community. To recognize that everything is holy means that you need to stop waiting for the bush that is burning to show up in front of you and know that it's already there, burning bright. To open your eyes for the first time and see it there in front of you. To know that something is speaking to you to create a more just and peace-filled world, filled with hope and light. If I sound repetitive, it's because I need you to get it. God calls us, encourages us to know that every step you take, every move you make, he will be watching you. But not in a creepy way. And to know that you are beloved. That even if you have done things wrong in the past, God is calling you to reconciliation. God is calling you to wonder. God is calling you to be more filled with hope than you were the day before. Because that's what we need the most right now. Folks, you are on holy ground right now. When you step out of the shower in the morning, when you plant flowers, when you share a meal, these are all places where the holy is alive and at work. Live into those moments as Moses did. Carry those moments as Moses did. Understand that in those moments, you too might be unsure of what the future holds. But know this, everywhere you go, God will be there as well. Encouraging you, reminding you that this is all good and that this is all holy. Amen.